Working now? Oh, okay, now it's working. There we go. Except I'm not gonna place it there because that's probably right next to my computer's fan. I don't know where to stick this thing. I need one of those microphone sticks. There we go. I think that's good. I have no idea. Anyhow, hi everybody. It's Friday. This is Sarah, and I'm trying to get back in good habits this year, even though it's March, and we're already into the third month. That's the end of the first quarter. I was busy all last month doing other gigs, other adult stuff that had nothing to do with fabrication. At the beginning of February, I kind of dropped the project I was currently working on mid-build, which was really bad. I've never done that before, quite as abruptly as I did at the beginning of February. I literally was in the middle of assembling something that I had just designed and printed, and I just sort of set it down on the table without tightening the last nut completely even, and walked away to go do the thing that I needed to do. And I spent all of yesterday evening just sort of trying to figure out what direction I was going in and why I was doing exactly what I was doing and what problem I was trying to overcome, because I didn't remember. And yeah, it was not cool. Really bad habit to start. The good news is that I'm done with all of my adult work now for the time being. I'm waiting for some boards to come back from Fab, and until I get them in, I don't really have any obligations. And the boards that are coming back from Fab are Noodle's new brain, his second brain ever. He's been using this, actually have it here somewhere, I think. Or maybe not, never mind. The little purple tiny noodle brain that, I don't know, I think I made that 4 years ago, is no longer sufficient enough to run his new body. I built an entirely new body for Noodle last year, over the summer and fall, and it needs more powerful, I guess, support to run the motors and to make it do what it needs to do, and that's going to become my number one priority once I get those boards in. But until then, I have a little bit of time to continue working on Carl. And Carl, my Flamingo, is going to be a robotic lawn ornament. So he's going to live in my backyard and just sort of, I don't know, be in the wild. That's what lawn ornaments be, right? They just sort of, they shepherd your lawn. So where I did end up leaving off, like I did figure out that the last thing I did is I was building this. I think I even posted video of this thing on Twitter. Let's see if I can get the light balance to pick it up. And this is basically a mechanism that tilts back and forth, kind of like a rocker. There's a motor up here, and when I plug this baby in, it actually, I don't want to force it. It basically makes this bottom pad like rock back and forth. And the idea is that this mounts on one side of the foot pad of a hoverboard, and there's one on the opposite end here, and they can actually rock back and forth against one another in order to twist the hoverboard, which is effectively what your feet would be doing. So these are kind of like robot feet that can kind of like rock back and forth on the toe and ball. So this replicates the not toe and ball heel, the ball change motion, if you will. So I was in the middle of building the second one of these. I had tested this out and saw that it does work rather nicely. I made some improvements so that it was less wobbly, and I printed all the parts, and they're scattered, or they were scattered yesterday, all over the place. There were some in the printing room, there were some in the kitchen, and there were some in the lab, and I had to figure out which ones were the bad ones and which ones were the current revision of this by referencing my CAD, and figure out which ones I needed to use to assemble a second one of these, which is harder than it sounds, or maybe it's exactly as hard as it sounds. It wasn't fun, so a good portion of yesterday was just doing some Sarah archaeology in the kitchen. But I'm gonna dip my nose into the chat because I see it like running right now. How are you guys doing? Hey. Hi, James! I see familiar names. How are you guys doing? Hi, Nikuman. How are you all doing? Hi, Dave. I hope everyone's doing all right. I hope everyone's year's off to a good start. I have at least one big adventure planned later on this summer that I've been kind of planning, or have been in the process of setting up throughout this month. I'll be in Australia in June for a good chunk of time with Noodle, and I've never been to Australia before, so I'm very excited, and I'm trying to plan what I'm going to be doing with my time once I'm there, which is fun. But anyhow, without further ado, I'm gonna go down to my, where is it? This thing. There we go. This is my bench for the day. I'm gonna put together another one of these and test it. And then Mark is actually here today because it's Friday. He's home. He is currently in the, wow, I was just about to say refrigerator. That's dark. He's currently in the refrigerator. He's in the garage out back, drilling some holes in some metal bars. And they're the bars that are going to be connecting these two pieces together. I don't know if you can see this, but there's these holes right here and right there. He's drilling the holes in the metal bars that are going to socket into these bits right here. So there's going to be 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're all going to bolt into place. My first prototype didn't have anything secured down. It was all just kind of compressed together, and that was bad. But it was enough to test whether or not the assembly was actually going to do what I thought it ought to do, and now it needs to be solid. So holes are necessary. Noodle does need more chooch. He needs more power. He's very, very envious because everything in my life lately has had to do with flamingos, and not him. Robotics, could you consider spreading the word about, as both could help scientists study COVID and save lives? Oh man. I don't know what that is. But yeah, COVID's not fun. I actually kind of decided not to travel this month to a conference that, well, I didn't have the funds to do it because it was in New York, but it kind of probably is a blessing in disguise because flying to New York is not something I really want to do right now, given the circumstances. But other than that, I'm not really afraid of the coronavirus yet. Yes, I get to go to Australia, but it will be in their winter, so that'll be kind of not as exciting, but whatever. Not as exciting. I mean, it might be better. What am I talking about? I'm going to Brisbane, which is, or the Brisbane area, I guess, which is humid-ish and not as cold in their winter, so it's probably perfect. I don't know, I have in my mind that winter is the least interesting, less vacation-like time of year, but it's probably gonna work out better this way. I don't like humidity, so if it's cooler and the humidity doesn't have as much of an impact, then that'll be for the best. So yeah, I'm gonna dive into this. I don't have my laptop over on the bench right now, so this window is unnecessary and it's gonna go away. I'm gonna have to move my microphone though. Forgot about my microphone. There we go. I gotta remember how I did all of this. Okay. This is heavy. As if any of my habits are good. There we go. This probably isn't gonna be ideal, but it's as good as it gets right now. So I think the the way that this is gonna work while I stream working on this stuff is there's 3 pieces to this overall robot. 3 separate mechanisms that each provide a function to the robot entity. There's this whole thing with the foot pads, the twister, as I've been calling it. There is the, oh man. Oh, that's right. The pendulum. Pendulum, it's the thing that's going to throw balance in one direction or the other so that the robot knows which way to go or forces itself to go one way or the other. That's happening with weights up at the top of the bird, well, the flamingo. That's next. And then the third mechanism is not as showy or interesting, but it's the thing that presses down on the footpad to tell the motors to go. And that's going to be a pain in the butt, so I'm doing that last. But this is fun. This is going to be the first thing. So I'm building a second one of these. I already kind of started adding bits. There we go. And before I started this stream, I calibrated the motor so that that's ready to go. Let me pop this on. Should probably grab a chair. Oh, I hear Mark. There we go. Close enough. Ah! He's back. Hopefully with good holes. Ah!
8mm holes.
No.
Oh.
I'm gonna make no.
I get the 3 and the 8 confused. One of those holes a little wonky, but it's fine.
Thank you.
It's gonna
Thank you,
survive.
thank you.
I love you.
Thank you for doing it. Which hole is wonky? I can't tell. Alright, so these are the bars that I was just talking about. So I have... Oh, this one's the wonky hole. It's gigantic. Yeah, good enough. I'm not going to be picky. Alright, so back to this thing. Where's my chair? I'm streaming, you should say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Mark's here. He's gonna be a pizza with me. Oh god. Oh! Oh man, I should probably throw this real quick. I'm gonna throw a link to my stream up on Twitter. So I'm momentarily back here. I'm trying to remember how I even did that. I don't remember. I use the oldest version of, what is this? YouTube's Go Live control room or whatever? Go Live. Where's the link?
Thanks, Google.
Thanks! I know they made like a newer version of all of this, but it's like not... There's certain things that I don't like the way that it does what it does. And I swear the last time I tried using it, I set up all the information and then I went live and it ignored all of it and it used like my previous settings from my last stream and I have no idea why. I was like, I just typed these in. It's a bad pizza. Here, okay, on Twitter. Or maybe I can just use this. Can I just... Oh my god. Is that how it do? Is that how it be? I don't even know. Oh. Here. Oh man, I just saw my nasty picture of my hollandaise soaked chicken from last night. There. Oh man, I didn't even... What? It used my last... Oh! It didn't even cite the correct thing. I don't care. Meh. It never works. Every time I put... I'm on the thing, the dashboard thing, and it says, here, share your stream, use this link, and I use it, and it cites the title of my previous stream, and I'm like, this is not helpful, you are not helpfuling me. It's bad. I'm not gonna fix it, I don't even care, whatever, people will find it. Anyhow, back to work. How do I turn this thing off again? There we go. How are you guys doing? Let me dip down here. How do you even know Nevada has no seasons? Wait, what?
Okay.
Who said that? Nevada does have no seasons. You're correct.
They're mild.
They're very mild. Like, we're having spring right now, which is like the 3 weeks out of the year that you can stand outside and not hate nature.
It's not too cold, not too hot.
Yeah, but it doesn't last very long. So we need to soak it in. Fold it is built on top of Rosetta. What? I don't know. You are meant to bring balance to the robot, not leave it in darkness. Oh, I try to bring balance to the robot force. Noodle is curious whether he should be a Sith or not. Sweet. Okay, back to work. I'm turning myself off. Is that upside down? I think it is. Alright. No, it's not. Okay. That's fair. It remembers. So the next step of doing this was to calibrate the motor and then attach the gear bit right here. I have a handful of these spacers right here, which I printed and I had to dig out of the kitchen, and there were just a bunch of miscellaneous spacers just chilling everywhere, of different sizes, because I think I printed a whole bunch of them before I actually picked ones or a size that worked, which just made it really confusing for me when I picked this back up, because I had to kind of measure these and then measure all of the random ones laying around and see which ones were what I wanted, and I think it's these guys. Plus there were a lot of failed prints. Our Prusa started having issues for the first time ever recently, and we aren't really quite sure why. It's having problems printing the first layer. It just kind of, I don't know what it's doing. Mark, do you know what it's doing?
Probably just needs a recalibration.
We should give it a hug. A robot hug.
Robot.
Okay. Save this. It's gonna go like that. Which means these guys. Oh, actually, shouldn't have put that on yet. Alright, so this is actually sandwiched between two walls of this shape. One of them goes here, and then the gear goes on. This is why it's important that I calibrate the motor first, because once I get these two pieces sandwiching the gear, it ain't coming off again unless I take the whole thing apart, which I remember having to do last time because I totally forgot to calibrate the motor, and it definitely matters with this, that center is center since it's like a rocking device. Alright, so these two bits are going to sandwich that gear right here. Not sure if the camera's picking that up. It ought to be though. And the small spacers, these like skinny little ones, are what's going to hold these two things apart. I'm pretty sure I'm using 50mm hardware. Like the longest that I've got in order to pull this off. And it's coming in from the front. Okay. So this is going to be a little awkward, just like me, to do. The first one at least. Oh wait. There's more spacers here. Alright, see, this is the crap I was going through yesterday. There's like a ton of these just laying around. I think that's the most common piece found in me and Mark's lab are spacers, 3D printed spacers. I have like a little bowl that's dedicated to just unused spacers of different lengths, and I really need to go through them and put labels on them, because they get reused fairly often, but it's difficult to kind of keep track of the relevant ones and the ones that didn't work out, especially when you drop a project cold like I did, like a dumb bijou. Okay, I need 50s. Ow. Which I have exactly 4 of, and I don't think I need that many for this. I do not. Okay. So... the way that this is working is the hardware is threaded through the back. There's a small spacer. There is the second side, the second bread of the sandwich. And then the long spacer of the two. And then that is fed through the hole on this, I don't know what you'd call this piece. The bracket piece? The thing that's going to be mating those, oh wow, that's actually way longer than it needs to be. Interesting. Okay, so I don't need 50s. Maybe 40s? 45s? 45. Do I have 45s? That's the other question. Much too short. I do. I've got a whole lot of them. Cool. So, the money shot of this stream is going to be assembling, like finishing the assembly, hooking it up to my Arduino, and running both of them at the same time. I'm probably gonna have to step back a little bit and jockey the camera around to show you, but it should work. It should have, like, I don't know, like both feet pieces should be able to kind of twist against one another. And then I'll introduce the part that I'm doing next. I'm probably gonna hit that tomorrow. Tonight I'm gonna have to tweak some parts for the next mechanism, the counterweight mechanism, and print them overnight so that I have them ready for tomorrow. Again, as soon as I get those new noodle brain boards in, I'm gonna have to drop this, but hopefully I get to a more appropriate stopping point before then. Here we go. How's Mark doing? Man. Susan. So we did this thing last month. I think at the end of January we went to see the new Star Wars. And then we decided that we were going to watch every single one of the Star Wars movies from, I don't know, in chronological order, right?
Yes.
So we started with the really bad like Phantom Menace prequel, and then I guess we're still technically in the middle of doing that. We finished everything up until the new movies. So tonight, if the squad decides to assemble, since it's Friday, we're doing. I don't even know what that one's called. What is the first new movie called of Star Wars? The one with, like, the first Disney one?
Oh.
Is it Rise of... No, it's not Rise of Skywalker.
It's
Emo Boy Man?
Emo Boy and...
Emo Boy and the Girl?
Laser Girl.
And Laser Girl?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take that. So... Emo Boy and the Girl. I'll buy that. We might be watching that tonight. Matt's, I know, not gonna be into it, but... We're kind of Star Wars'd out at the moment. We just watched... Like, I haven't seen any of the Marvel movies, but we went ahead and watched Infinity War and Endgame.
It's The Farce Awakens.
The Farce Awakens. Okay. Force Awakens. We might be watching Force Awakens.
Then The Last Jedi, and then The Rise of Skywalker.
Gotcha. I mean, I'm down. If he's into it, I'll totally do it. I'm okay with it. I would accept my fate. The second one's probably my favorite. What is it? The Last Jedi?
The second one in
Yeah.
that thing? That is The Last Jedi.
That's my favorite of the new three. I liked that one. The last one was like a seizure smear, in my humble opinion. I don't like Star Wars. I don't know if it's gonna make anyone hate me on the stream or not, but I don't like Star Wars very much. Like, I like them about as much as any other good movie that I've seen.
Like Harry Potter.
No, I hate Harry Potter. I'm outing myself more. I hate
Just
Harry
lost
Potter.
8 people on your stream.
I know. Unlike, unfollow. Thanks, Mark. No, I don't like Harry Potter at all. Okay, so this is important. This has to be the mirror of this. So this has to be on the inside, facing in. So this has to be facing in. So I have to get that orientation correct. Okay, so the thing I'm doing next is these two holes right here. The 1 and the 2. That attaches to these two holes right here. This one and this 2. So the next thing is the teeth of this gear right here need to mate with the teeth of this gear dead on, because since this is calibrated to 90 degrees, this needs to sit right at the top and not be kind of cocked wonky like. So I'm gonna slide that down in there. Cocked wonky? Noodle.
Nobody wants a wonky cock.
He's super not pleased or amused with me right now. He's like, mommy's working on the other baby, and he says that is attention he could be getting right now, and he's not okay with it. Oh man. 18s. 18s. No. It's gonna be 20s. Okay. We got these good beers last night. Mark, I guess at our local discount liquor store, they have a Build-A-Case, right?
Build-A-Case.
It's called exactly. A Build-A-Case, and you can pick out 4 6-packs of anything you want. Which is great because they have a ton of beer at least, and most of it we have not tried. No. So Mark picked out a peanut butter beer, which I don't have the label for right here. It's called Peanut Milk Stout in the case. has a big peanut milk.
Like little udders on each nut.
It has a big cow on it, and I really like cows. So I'm gonna keep the labels and put them on my laptop. And then he got this other beer that I had one of last night, and it utterly destroyed me. This one, Voodoo Ranger. This, it's a 9%. It wrecked me. I had one of them. I will not be having any more. It's like a very strong citrusy IPA. It tastes kind of like Hazy Little Thing. Or like a hazy IPA, but just on steroids. It tasted good enough to drink, but it definitely made me hallucinate. Why isn't this going through? What the heck? And then what else did you get? You got an apple. You got Ace Apple hard cider, which was good.
What is that? Voodoo? You said Voodoo Ranger already?
Yes. And then Ace, and then you just got Sapporo, which is
Sapporo.
We've had Sapporo.
Super dry.
So that's not a new thing, but and then you got Boddingtons too, but that's for the butterbeer.
Yeah, we're gonna make a butterbeer.
Are we gonna do that tonight?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see if I can talk Matt into coming over. Why is this not going through the hole? Oh my god. Come on. What is wrong with you? Do I need to ream? Yeah, I do. Okay. Sometimes your holes just need to get reamed out a little bit more. So that things fit inside of them easier. There. Wait. Gotta be on the right way. Okay. Okay. Okay, it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Okay. Happy little trees. But yeah, every time we watched a Star Wars movie, it was a Friday night ritual. We do one every Friday since, I don't know, since the end of January. We would watch the Plinkett review for that movie afterwards, which if you don't know who Plinkett is and you are a horrible person like us, I highly recommend looking up, type in Plinkett review Phantom Menace. It's 7 parts. It's like almost as long as the movie. I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes of this guy breaking down why the movie is so bad in a way that is so pleasing and satisfying that you just fall in love with him and you thank him, your heart thanks him. So if you want to watch somebody like critically analyze Phantom Menace and destroy it, I highly recommend Plinkett's review. And if you've seen it already, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Plinkett's one of these people where you either like him or you don't, I think. Okay, why? Why won't you go in your hole? We're gonna sing the Why Won't You Go in Your Hole song. Mark.
Sounds like a good ukulele song.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. So if we're all really good, Mark might serenade us later with...
Oh no, not later. Maybe some other stream.
I don't want to do it.
But we'll make a
Ukulele.
song about holes.
The whole song.
Eventually. I need a few beers for that.
The hole threading song?
Yes.
Mark got, yesterday, like in the mail, he got a acoustic guitar, right?
Right.
And a ukulele. Ukulele. So he's going to be a ukulele man for the rest of time. Because once you have a ukulele, you always have a ukulele, right?
They tell me.
Yes. Ukulele. Okay. That's one. These holes were not printed open like. And Shape Daddy insisted and he's correct for insisting that I need to make the holes in my 3D prints like probably slightly smaller than they ought to be, so there's no slop. So when I printed these, I actually made them 3mm because I think when I make 3mm holes, I used to print them at 4mm and then I went down to 3.8, but that's, as he pointed out, 0.8, almost 1 whole millimeter of slop in all of my joints, which is abhorrent, and I kind of always just put up with it because, I don't know, I'm not picky. Don't mind if my robots are loosey-goosey. But this thing can't be, so I had to tighten everything up. But yeah, the printer's been acting strange, so those two things combined made for some not so great holes. So Mark, you need to make a hole reaming song that I can ream holes out to.
Yeah.
So while I'm like shaving edges off of holes, you can be like do 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 do.
Let me write this down. Shaving holes.
That's just what it's gonna be called. Cheerful shaving holes.
Encouraging.
I mean, you can't make a ukulele song and have it not sound encouraging.
Exactly.
The shaving hole song. Oh god. Okay. I wonder if there's any bad lip reading so far for the debates, because that was the only thing that made them at all stomachable last year or 4 years ago. Stomachable. Is that there's somebody expertly making fun of them in the universe? There, that is done. Look at that, man. It's a thing of beauty. Thing of beauty is a joy forever. Okay. Next step, whatever, is to shove these rods that Mark made holes inside of into these, I guess, I don't know what you call these, sleeves? There's 4 sleeves on each of these, and they're going to basically be bridged together with these bars. So this is one sandwich loaf piece, and this is another sandwich loaf piece. And I'm gonna have to actually take this apart. I'm not gonna do it on camera, but in order to attach the pendulum mechanism, like the weight thrower, onto this piece, I'm going to have to add holes in the middle of these bars for it to attach to, and I'm probably gonna have to take this apart again and go with Mark into the garage and make those holes at a later point in time. But that's not necessary for me to test this, and I just want to see it working first, even if I have to take it apart later. Okay, am I gonna be able to do this? Do. Here comes the sun. Do. Oh man. There we go. Yeah, I need to put a washer on that. I can't. Anytime I forget, it bugs me. Take it apart just to get that washer on there, even if it's not actually helping. Okay. Why is this so crooked, Mark? The holes, Mark, they're so crooked.
A crooked hole.
Why did you do that? I'm trying to get this to go in. That's gonna work. I have to like kind of encourage it. It's not long enough. I need to kind of push on it. none of this is really aligned quite. Well, maybe if I just screw. Just keep screwing. Oh, I did it. Nice. Oh, but this isn't long enough. No. Okay, 20s are not long enough. I need 22. Probably longer than that. Let's go with. Oh, this is the territory that's bad. I don't think I have any more 25s. Oh, I've got 24s. It's gonna have to do. Because I don't think they make 25s.
No, even
Jerks. I'm gonna check the chat real quick. Hey guys. How you doing? Oh. Red Letter Media. Yep, you're right. Mark is a manic pixie dream girl now. You are, Mark.
What?
A manic pixie dream girl.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. It's like a pop culture reference now that I see in memes, but don't know what it's referencing. I just see it.
Manic pixie girl?
Yeah, I think that's like a type of. That's a label that the internet gave certain types of females because we like labels for some reason.
I have crushes on manic pixie girls, but.
There you go. See?
But am I one?
Why not?
Is it my inner pixie girl being attracted to other pixie girls? Maybe.
I don't know. Somebody thinks you're somebody else's manic pixie girl. I think that's the point.
Whoa.
Go get your ukulele.
I stand for love and justice.
Manic pixie girls. Do. You're going to both shave and ream the holes. Oh God.
That sounds like a
Saturday
night at my house.
Of
Anyways.
3D prints. The holes of 3D prints.
Oh, of 3D printing. Never mind.
We make everything sound inappropriate here. I know I'm live. I'm trying to get back on the what is this? The bandwagon? I don't know. Yeah. I've been in a February was a dark month because it was just adult work and then catharsis via playing WoW. So I was doing PvP. Like there's no more Splatfest anymore, so I need like a competitive outlet, which later this month, I think me and my friend Matt are going to be making arcade stick cabinets for 2D fighters. So I might cover that. If anyone's interested in following along and making an arcade stick cabinet as well. That's actually the first thing I ever fabricated in college in Chicago was an arcade stick cabinet, which I did at a Pinkies Up contemporary art school, and everyone in the wood shop was very confused what the hell I was making, and they thought it was for an art piece, and it wasn't at all. It was just because I wanted one. And it was a good learning experience because it involved electronics, wood, buttons, joysticks, pretty much everything that I wield in my goodie bag of tools to make stuff now. That project required some level of those things. So if you like, I don't know, not video games, but particularly fighters, like Street Fighter type fighters, we're going to be making cabinets for fighting, and then I can lick my competitive itch. You don't lick itches. I can scratch my competitive itch. I can lick my itch.
And that's how you got coronavirus. Alright.
That's how raptors do it. And I went to an anime... Oh, there's another fun thing I did recently that has nothing to do with the thing I'm making right now. I went to an anime conference with my mentor, and it was taking place at the Las Vegas Convention Center the same time as a Trump rally. So there were like anime girls dressed up in cosplay and stuff, and just, you know, everyone else who wears cosplay is whatever. So there's like young kids in college or whatever in MAGA cosplay hats. And then there were MAGA hats. And people
perfect
selling
disguise.
MAGA hats like in the same venue, and it was the most surreal thing I'd ever walked into in my life with my mentor, and we were just walking around like, And the find of the day is we went to this like minifig stall, and my mentor happens to look like George Lucas, like a lot. And we found a George Lucas minifig that consequently looks just like my mentor. So this is like his micro effigy that I found and bought, and then I got a Sarah effigy. This is me. So I've always wanted one of these, but I didn't want to buy a Lego kit just to get the Raptor minifig out of it, because they're like $30 because of whatever brands. And I was able to just buy this guy, and now I have one. And she's such a pretty girl. She's like, and then George Lucas can ride the Raptor into battle and fight all of the waifus. I learned what waifu meant that day as well, which was a fun experience for everybody. But this is like me and my mentor riding into battle against all of the anime people and the MAGA people, like collectively, and I'm like fighting back all the bad pizza. Oh god. Anyhow, okay. I got my hardware, so I can go back to work now. Yes, WCLV, I do have the cabinet, my original one. Sad story, I can't use the original one because it got destroyed in a very crazy way. I came home from breakfast with my boyfriend, my previous partner, to his house, and he lived in a 2-story home, and the bathroom upstairs flooded badly bad, and there was a pillar of water leaking out of the ceiling,
Poop water,
directly onto my arcade stick cabinet that I had made because it was on the coffee table. So the coffee table and everything just got like rained on by poop water, and like ground zero of the pillar of water was my arcade stick cabinet. So I still have it, but it's like all swollen and like deformed because I made it out of wood. If I make another one this month, I'm probably going to do so out of acrylic because Mark has a laser cutter now, and I can design things in CAD and wield all these magical tools that I've got access to. So I'm going to make like a transparent acrylic case that's attached together with hardware and probably has fancy sparkly LEDs on the inside so the edges are all glow-like. And Mark, you can make one too if you feel so inclined.
I might do that.
You can pick the buttons and those can glow too.
Yeah.
Now put it on wheels and everything will be good. Trump cosplayers. I didn't see any Trump cosplayers. They're just Trump fans and then anime fans in the same place. Do they just have an air horn next door?
Yeah, the neighbor bought a boat, and that's the horn on the boat.
Oh.
It's like a little air horn.
Oh, okay. I keep hearing it,
He's
and I'm
testing
like,
it, apparently.
ah! It is you. WCLV. Are you who I met at the convention? Because I know we talked that you are in my streams regularly.
You're always in my streams.
You're always in my streams. Do 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 do. I can wait for an answer. My bad lighting. I really need to fix the lighting of this thing. I hate that I'm backlit. Like, I did this to fix the quality of my videos, and it broke the quality of the streaming, unless I move the entire room around. Oh well. It is you. Hi again. Watching. Doing. How are you? Lately. As of late. As of the past, when was that? Like 2 weeks ago? Mark?
Something
Was
like
it 2
that.
weeks?
Sure.
I don't even remember.
Whatever you need.
MAGA. That's like super coincidental. I don't know, I could probably turn this into a robot raptor I guess the story is that I collect raptors from every major city that I go to. So every raptor toy, I guess, that I have is from a different city that I've been to. So they each, I don't know, I think I've been naming them after the cities that they hail from. But the result is that I end up going to a new place and going to a toy store and asking the people who work there if they have any raptor figures, regardless of whether or not it's a English-speaking establishment, and it always results in some memorable, satisfying exchange that I get to add to my personal memories of that area, and it's been fun so far. Like I have a lot of fond raptor hunting memories in strange places. This is the only one that's from Vegas. This is Ground Zero Raptor. Oh, and this one now. My little clever girl. And this one's been in every birthday cake that I've ever made for myself. Right, Mark?
Wait, what?
We made hollandaise sauce last night.
Hollandaise sauce.
Hollandaise. I wonder if you could make a hollandaise cake.
Oh, God, it was good.
Like use hollandaise sauce as the frosting?
You'd have to eat it in like 10 minutes because of that. It changes.
Like what flavor
It
cake
becomes crusty.
do you think you could make like a crab cake and then use hollandaise sauce as the frosting?
You can put a hollandaise on anything as long as you eat it within the next 10 or 15 minutes. So, yes.
But what do you think would taste good?
Oh, I don't know. It's
Like-
butter and egg yolk.
So like a crab cake?
That would go probably on crab cakes.
If I made like a crab cake
yeah.
that was cakier than normal with crab in it.
Oops. I have another thing.
What?
So I was watching the cooking show yesterday.
Yeah.
Is you do 50-50 miso and butter,
Yes.
and you put that on a steak.
50
Miso paste.
miso and butter?
Yes, and it adds this whole umami layer to it. Makes a great topping for meats or marinade.
But you have to get the right miso. Like you
no,
need to get,
they're all different.
because the one you got's kind of sweet, and it's like it's got a different flavor to it. The red one.
I know. So you try different ones and see which one you like. But that.
I like the yellow, the white. Is that the
Yeah,
white
they
or
don't-
is it yellow?
The red's supposed to be the uncommon one, and it's the only one the store had.
Hollandaise cheesecake. Hollandaise cake would just be like
Yes,
regular
hollandaise
cake.
cheesecake.
Hollandaise cake. It has all the
Just it's egg and butter, a little bit of acid. So
my antique collection, but other than that, nothing much. Good to hear that you're doing all right. Did you start making your robot yet? Because I know we talked about robot building. Sumimasen. Raptor ga arimaska. Sumimasen, raptor ga arimaska. Am I a raptor, Sumi? Excuse me, are you a raptor? Is that what that means? I totally dropped my Japanese study like a bad girl. Salmon. Ooh, James, that's a good idea. Mark, we can make a salmon loaf cake. Like a meatloaf, but salmon loaf. And then put hollandaise on it as a frosting.
yeah, and that's like the crab cake. You can make little salmon cakes and put
Because
drizzle.
it's like the Nova Scotia Benedict has hollandaise and salmon, and it's like the two best flavor components together ever. Ooh, I'm down.
Do it.
That's my birthday cake this year. We have to make a salmon loaf.
Fish cake
Mhm.
for your birthday.
Is that okay?
Yes.
My birthday. I've been doing good. To answer your question, I think we saw each other 2 weeks ago. So in the past 2 weeks, I've been good. I've been trying to finish like this project that wouldn't die. It like wouldn't end, and then now I got my plate cleared of that. So I'm picking up slowly all the stuff I was doing previous to that, which is this. And I'm hoping I can get this working before I leave at the end of the month. That's the goal. But again, like I said, once Noodle's new brains get in, I'll have to switch tracks again and start working on that, because that's technically my priority one, because he's being exhibited abroad, and that's important. And Mark and I are porting the exhibit from like 2 years ago that we developed with the AI image recognition thingy with TensorFlow. We're porting that into his actual head onto a Jetson module. It's just gonna be forced into that, and then the other goal is to get him walking in some capacity with his new fancy body that's supposed to be capable of new things, more things. But yeah. I digress. I was building something. I'm gonna get back to that. Mark. Oh yeah, okay. I needed 24s. I love it. I go back to my computer and I'm like, hollandaise sauce and dinosaurs and MAGA hats. Ah! That was a fun adventure. Oh man. Now I'm back to this whole game again. I think last time I just sort of kept screwing this in until it went all the way through. And it worked. Okay, good. All the stuff I make would probably cause my machinist friend to cringe. I remember the very first things I ever designed in CAD, I didn't actually use exact measurements to draw any of the lines and make any of my base shapes. I just kind of eyeballed everything. So Mark is actually the human being who printed, like 3D printed with his first 3D printer, my first ever shapes that I had designed in SketchUp. Long time ago. I think I still have them somewhere. And Mark and I had just met. This was like 7 years ago or something. 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And 3D printers were new, and I had just gotten out of college, and oh god, he was like interested in making robots. I was interested in making robots. We talked about making robots, as all boy meets girl stories kind of go, I guess. Right, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I sent him these pieces, and I'm like, hey, or he offered to print them. He's like, hey.
Yeah, I just got that 3D printer. I'm like, I'll 3D print those for you, but you need to learn a CAD tool.
So I did. I picked up SketchUp, and I remember for like one weekend, I very aggressively horked down SketchUp. But I didn't design any of the pieces I made using actual like hard numbers or measurements. I just sort of drew lines. And I was like, this looks like a triangle, this is good enough. And I sent him these parts and he printed them, and I know he was thinking, what the hell is this shit? Right, Mark? You've told me.
Wait, well, they came out, they're really
They're fragile.
You put a lot of decorative like holes in it.
They're very ornamental.
Yeah, they were very ornamental, so they kind of fell apart on the printer as we peeled them off. And so we just talked about like what your limitations of the printer are and what you need to do, and then you kind of retuned to that, and then they came, the parts got better and better and better every time you did a new thing, right? So that's part of the experience of learning that.
The next ones I did were a lot better, but that happened a small amount of time later, I'll say. Now, the next ones I designed ended up being very close to the ones that ended up going in our Delta Robot kit, I guess.
Right.
Oh god, why won't you go? hole. But now I use a Fusion 360. My friend who I met 2 weeks ago at the conference, I know I was talking about that as being like the ideal engineering parametric design tool for making shapes. It's pretty easy to pick up. I highly recommend it still. Like it's got a bit of a learning curve, but it completely changed the quality of my life and in making crazy crap like this once I learned it. It was one of those things that I just had to sit down and very vigilantly swallow. Oh, man. This is going fast. I feel like I should ask Matt whether he wants to come over tonight or not. Oh man, somebody keeps calling me. The hell is calling me? Oh, no. No. Here. There. Sarah, use your phone like an adult. I don't wanna. Mark.
What?
You're a pixie. What was it again? Manic pixie dream girl.
Is that a thing? Is like something emerged in society that
I see
or
it
have
on...
they always existed and we're just finally noticing them?
No, it's like it's a label that was given to a certain type of female.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
I guess that's a thing now. I suddenly started seeing that on Facebook.
But I've always liked manic pixie girls.
They have a label now. Just that's what we do.
But why is it now just being acknowledged as a great thing?
I don't know. I think it's always been acknowledged. It just has like a specific, definite label now, because that's what humans do. They label everything. We like labels.
Let's label that.
Allows us to ruin people's lives easier. Waifu. Yeah, I learned what waifu meant. It's like I just learned. My friend Matt taught me what weeb meant. Didn't know what that meant either. I'm at this anime conference teaching my mentor what all these words mean because I've just learned them myself. We're both walking around feeling very old and alienated. Oh god. Why? Probably not the best way to have gone about doing this, but whatever. I'm not an expert at assembling my own shit. Tony. Whisper to the machine. Alright, this is going in my lap. Sorry, I'm pulling it off camera. This is being... There we go. Okay. Some things be like that, Mark. Thank you for making my holes straight. They actually just sort of worked out.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I clamped them together, and so they're like within a fraction of a millimeter, all the same spot. So.
Yeah, they're good. I'm not running into
weirdness
issues. Yeah, lots of crumbles, as they say. Words are fun. Waifu. Manic pixie.
Manic waifu.
Manic raptor? Pixie raptor?
Pixie raptor. When you get a haircut, you're a little bit pixie-ish.
That's gonna happen.
Just a little bit.
I'm waiting for it to be closer to when I have to go to, what's it called? Wisconsin? Yeah.
You don't even know where you're going.
I'm like, where?
Pittsburgh.
No, I know I'm going to Wisconsin. Because they have cows there, and I'm not going to get to see those cows, and I'm going to be sad. I want to see the cows. Do-do-do-do. Okay, this one's being fussy. I think... the point of me getting the mini Carl was so that I could try and bring the micro Carl that doesn't involve a hoverboard to CypherCon with me, so that I do have a Carl in spirit form, because there's no way I'm getting a hoverboard on the airplane. Nor would I want to carry one in my check bag anyhow, even if I could, so I got a balancing robot kit from Pololu. Because Pololu's right down the street from us. That's another thing. My friend who I met 2 weeks ago who was interested in robotics, I don't know if you know about Pololu robotics, but we're super lucky here in Vegas because one of the few electronics, I guess, what would you call them? Company or business store? Pololu.
Right, Pololu. Electronics manufacturer.
They make electronics, but they specifically make electronics for the context of robotics, and they sell
robotics. Yeah.
They sell a lot of like robotic components, like motors and whatnot, like really nice motors. To give you an example, like I just got these guys. These are teeny tiny geared motors for building robots and controlling them. They're pretty great. And they sell a bunch of servos too that are fantastic. They have an awesome Metal Gear servo that I use on Noodle for 20 bucks, and it's a beast. It has taken a lot of abuse over the years, and it's still running fine. Why I replaced it, I don't know. Waifu. Oh, I did it again. Mark, you're my manic pixie. Man, what are you? Hobbit. You're my manic pixie hobbit.
Oh god.
Oh god. MAGA Pixie Hobbit. That's not you. MAGA Pixie Girl. Oh man. I wonder if they are going to do any of those bad lip reading things for the debates. Like, we still to this day quote one of them from 4 years ago with Hillary Clinton and Bernie. This woman makes dynamite beans. Pentap. I need to find that. I feel like we should watch it for old time's sake. Wait, how many of those? We're different people now than we were back then. Hopefully for the better. It's difficult to say. see such times, but it is not for them to decide. All that can be decided is what to do with the time that you are given. Thanks, Candle. Okay, this is almost done. Once I tighten these 4 nuts that are holding the crossbars, the parallel bar thingies, in place, I can hook this thing up and test it, and I'm pretty much done with what I was hoping to achieve today, which is finish this particular assembly, this twisting mechanism, if you will. The twisting mechanism. I'm gonna save this for a different stream, maybe on Sunday. Let's say this. I was threatening on Twitter about doing a concept sketch for a mechanical cow. Mark won't let me get a cow. I don't know why.
If you're button.
Why can't I have a cow, Mark?
I'm concerned about its needs.
I mean,
versus your ability to deliver said needs.
Like, what can't I give a cow, Mark?
The daily bale of hay and all the poop you need to scoop every single day.
But...
And the constant mooing at 2 in the morning and the neighbors complaining about the mooing at 2 in the morning.
They don't moo at night.
They do that. Like, moo! Because they're
when
scared about something.
They're not upset. If you make sure they're happy, then they don't moo in the night. They sleep. You don't think I could take care of a cow?
What, Noodle? Noodle said something. He mumbled something. I don't know what he...
You didn't answer my question.
He said you don't even take care of him.
What? Excuse me?
Noodle said if only he was delicate and pink, he'd get more attention.
Oh.
Maybe he should be a pixie.
Noodle's not a pixie. Noodle says he's his own waifu.
Noodle says he's a manic lixie.
A manic... Noodle's just a manic...
He's a manic noodle.
Noodle.
Manic pasta?
Manic pasta boy.
That's his hacker name.
Manic pasta boy. Yeah.
Yes.
He's still deep button.
Deep button.
Or bad biscuit.
Bad biscuit.
Bad biscuit. Okay, so this thing's done. This mechanism, which this is probably totally not. Hi. There. This mechanism. Oh wow, I'm upside down. Look at me.
Upside down.
I don't know. Here, I'll hold it upside down.
Oh.
There. Oh. Can I fix this? You know what? No. Here. I'm just gonna stand back here and hold it up and check the chat. Check in on you guys. Awesome. Oh. Didn't print my by his own fair hands, they made Cybermen. I remember Cybermen. Isn't that from Doctor
Who?
Nikuman says Noodle is his waifu. Noodle. Noodle has my bra on his head right now. Metal Gear. Metal Gear? Are cows legal in Nevada? I don't know.
Legal?
I mean, we live in a neighborhood where you can have horses, so...
Yeah, you can have horses.
I mean...
That's a zoning thing. Probably not livestock. Even chicken might be.
He's not a stock. My cow would be...
That's considered in the livestock category.
Human emotional support cow is an emotional support animal, not livestock. Stock.
Stock.
So rude. My 2 favorite animals are considered stock. raptors and cows. Big on bedtime. What? Okay, so I have this hooked up for testing multiple motors at the same time. I have to find on my desktop somewhere. Oh man. I have a Arduino sketch that I'm looking for right now. There we go. I'm going to tweak this thing real quick so that do a 0 so I can test this thing. 180. I'm editing code. Look at me. Mark.
You're like a little pixie hacker.
Did you just call me a pixie hacker?
Pixie hacker.
I don't know how to write code.
Pixie chicks.
Here I am writing code.
Did they just crash in that? Wow.
Tilt 2. Dot.
No, now we have 2. Great. Oh, because of that.
Why am I? Okay. I can do this. Look at me. Look at me. 2. This should work. Compile. It compiled. Check that out. Okay, so I'm gonna hook up that thing that I just assembled to this thing that I assembled probably a month or so ago, and I'm gonna run some test code, and it should make the foot pads rock against one another. Where did my OBS go? Okay, there it is. Great. So it's this guy, and I've got. Should probably strap this to the top. Seems like a reasonable idea. Do I have tape? Do I have any rubber bands? Do I have anything? Mark, do you have any tape?
What?
Tape.
What do you need?
I don't know.
What are you trying to tape together?
10 sheet.
The 4 things?
I'm attaching this to here. Do you have like a?
Do you want to just tape that on for now?
Yeah, a zip tie or something. Like a big one.
Giant zip ties?
A big zip tie that I can just strap stuff to stuff. But yeah, the Flamingo mounts like right here, like on the top of these bars. Oh, thanks, Daddy. Those aren't long enough.
We're going to make them long. You can put 2 together.
That's a bad
They
idea.
stack. It's never a bad idea. Alright, where is this going? I would cross them maybe so that they don't slide.
They can fly.
Alright. You have it?
Yes. Just holding.
Not too even amount. It's too late. Alright.
What?
I'm just gonna go over here.
Thank you. Thank you for your pizza.
Pizza.
Perfect, Mark. Okay, so that's zip tied onto the pizza, like that. And then my strings. I love calling wires strings because it makes engineers go crazy and cringe. Like, Mark, do you want to pull my strings?
What?
I know I'm looking at my lap. I apologize. Can you see this? Yeah, you can. Check that out. The lighting's so bad. It's 12. Okay. Alright. See, that's done. That's correct. Okay. So, oh god. Alright, so this is hooked up mostly in a correct-ish way. It's just the two servos going to an Arduino clone on the top that I'm about to plug in. Ooh, I think I might need the external power supply for this.
Probably.
Okay. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab that. It's in the kitchen, which is where I was working on this previously. I need to tweak that. Just get plugged into the board. Alright, I'll be right back. Be a second. Just a second. Do. A screaming bird. Screaming bird. Simpsons got a gun. Susan's got a gun. Okay. Okay, I'm adding an external power supply, 5 volt, to the breadboard of my Arduino to power the motors so that I'm not trying to power the motors with my computer, because you aren't supposed to do that. I think that's one of the first things I learned in college when I was doing this. We bought Arduinos out of the vending machine at my college. Long time ago. I can still remember. I think I can plug this in and it won't blow up. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Mark, cross your fingers.
toes cropped.
Okay. Noodle says that's acceptable. Noodle says he knows that if he had his chance, he could tear a hole in the pants. And he'd be happy for a while. Hey, nothing blew up. That's great. Okay, so as soon as I plug this in, it's gonna start moving. Do you want to help me for a second, Mark? Maybe? Well, if you have a second, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Does this microphone need to be over here now?
Yeah. Thank you.
There.
Thank you.
What do you need?
Can you hold this?
Can I hold this? Yeah.
Hold it like right here.
Right here. All right.
Because this is gonna move and this is gonna move.
All right.
Okay. And I'm gonna tilt this down a little bit. I'm gonna plug in my pizza. And I'm gonna upload the code. Nope. Didn't like that. It needs port USB. There you go. Doesn't like that. I don't know why.
Today's jammed.
Jam?
That one is like it's jammed. It's fighting. Yeah.
Maybe one at a time.
It's trying to be somewhere it can't be, so it's going to burn that motor out. You should unplug it and find out why that's why. There you go. Yeah, when there's nothing on, it shouldn't be buzzing. That means it's fighting itself. So I think it's jammed or something, or it wants to be 180 or some other. It ain't moving, is it? So figure out why it's snagged.
Okay. Let's see. Let's do one at a time. Troubleshooting mode. Troubleshooting mode. That's what you do. Go into troubleshooting mode. There's nowhere to put this. Oh god. Oh god. I can do this. I can do it. There. You can't see this. Can you see this? Might you be able to see that? That's not too bad. Does that help at all? I don't know if it helps. Don't know if it helps. Ha. This definitely won't end badly. Oh no. Raptors and livestock for sure. Aw, I love cows. I would never ever ever eat my cow. I think like when society collapses, it'll just be me protecting my cow in the wilderness. And that's how it's gonna end. That's the truth. Let's try this again. Why? I'm not supposed to be doing that.
Can you look at your code?
Yeah.
Turn that off, you're gonna burn the motor up. You might have to pull the hub off of that thing and see what it's trying to do.
Okay. So it's just this. It's supposed to go to 90, 0, and then is 100 not long enough of a delay?
Oh, probably not. Get rid of your. We have 2 delays in there though. Oh, get rid of one of the tilts. Let's just do tilt 2 or tilt 1. Are you usually doing tilt 1?
Yeah, I commented 2
okay.
out.
Okay, comment one of your delays out.
What? Why?
Oh, and you're.
It's pausing and then
pausing.
going to this and then
Okay.
pausing and then going to this and then
All right,
pausing.
so
and
delay
then
for
1,000.
1,000, and then the other one 1,000. Oh, and then you're trying to. It's doing this, right? It's going to 90.
Mm-hmm.
You told it to go to 0 after a delay. Then you told it to go to 180 after a delay, and then when it loops, oh no, you have a 3rd delay there. Okay, Is that everything? Is there anything after that?
No. That's it.
All right, try that and see. But it may not be able to do 180 on that, so maybe set it to. You
yes,
did?
yeah. When
All
I did the one, I can do 180 and 0.
Do a power switch. A little switch block or something. Yeah, why is it?
I don't know.
I think it's not. No, I don't think it's getting to 180. So make your angles less.
No, it can. Like, trust me, I calibrated it and tested it when I made the first thing. When I did one of these.
All right, but as an experiment, can we do this in code?
Sure.
Okay, so now leave your 90 alone. Set this to 50 and set that one to like 130. You're doing the commented ones. Okay. Then the 0, set it to 50. All right. And I think it's 1 to 180 or 1 to 179. I don't think it's. I don't think 0 is a number as well. So.
It worked.
All right. Well, upload.
I did. It's not doing anything.
Oh, it's jammed. Maybe the current's too high. Now reset it. I think that's your serial reset. Where's the second button? Is there not a second button on that thing?
No.
Just power cycle it then. Something's jammed. Power cycle your motors.
What do you mean?
Whatever's making that buzzing noise, make it stop. Alright, now plug it back in.
Hang on. Let me try something.
reset the computer.
My code's just not doing. And I don't know why.
Where's your setup? Servo tilt 2, tilt attached 11, tilt attached 10. This code worked before? Yeah, it's not even doing
Wait. I did 10 and 11. I guess I did this wrong. It's supposed to be 9.
Oh, this is not right down.
I know. There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
So I don't know why
Is
the other one just jammed or something?
I unplugged it.
Okay.
It's commented out. So I had the one that.
Oh, wrong pin.
Yeah, it was the wrong pin. So it was in code.
Just show on the camera.
1 second.
Oh, you got it. All right. Turn it sideways.
Can you move this box? There we go. So it's doing.
Noodle wants to know why, Mommy. Why?
These are feet, Noodle. They're just not your feet.
He said he could have feet like that. He said he could stand on unlevel ground.
Oh, that needs to be tightened.
Did you turn it sideways yet?
What?
Toward the camera.
So it's doing.
Good job.
It does it. Woo! So these need to be tightened. There's another hole right here at the top, here and here on either side, for another set of spacers that are supposed to help stabilize this whole bit that attaches to the bracket. And I only put 2 in right now. I'm not sure why I did that, because right now it's since there's only 2 connected, there's enough play that this whole thing's able to kind of force the mechanism to twist a bit. The motors are strong enough to do that, so I need to add this next addition of spacers and hardware just to really make sure that this is latched on tight enough and can't move around. That's the thing with making mechanisms, is whatever it is that you design is only as good as your weakest link, basically. The weakest part of your mechanism. So it works though. It looks like once I finish bracketing these in place, everything's going to more or less do what it's supposed to, which is great. So the twister, as I'm calling this, I guess, as a pet name, the twisting mechanism is ready to be tested again. So these feet pieces, the feet of the twist mechanism, are going to be strapped onto the foot pads of the hoverboard when this is ready. Until then, this is sort of a standalone mechanism that just does exactly what I showed you just now. It twists, it rocks back and forth, right, Mark?
Yes.
So I'm gonna go grab the thing that I'm going to be working on next and show that to you before I call it a day. I'll stick around and chat for just a second, but I am gonna be wrapping the stream here kind of soon. I need to like clean up a little bit, just in the instance or the occasion that we do movie night later after Matt gets off work. I gotta touch base with him. I need to like shower and stuff because I'm in like super bed mode. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab the pendulum mechanism, which is really super floppy and bad, but it's the part that's attached to actual Carl proper right now. The Flamingo himself, or themself, in the plastic flesh. So I'll be right back. Oh man, I love the sound of hardware like falling to the ground. I have no idea where it came from. Yay! Okay, so this is the pendulum weight throwing mechanism. I can hold it like this. So it's Carl, the flamingo, and then he has these little wings that are popsicle sticks or tongue compressors for the time being. These wooden bits. And there's ball casters on the top that don't act as ball casters, they're just weights. So I'm just using these because they're heavy and they're good counterweights because they have like mounting holes and everything. And they're like laying right next to me on my desk, so they're perfect. So basically what these do is they're attached to a tendon that goes all the way down to the bottom where there's another set of motors here. Let me move this. Right. So there's another set of motor doodads down here at the bottom, and they have a tiny little like paddle. Oh, can you see that? Kind of. So this thing is going to rotate down and from side to side. Like that. I'm doing this terribly. But as this rocks back and forth, what ends up happening here at the top is this wing, it goes like this back and forth. So this weight is either getting thrown in this direction forward or in this direction back. And depending on which way it's facing, he either leans one direction or the other. So ideally, if both of these are faced forward, then he'll lean in this direction and cause the whole assembly to kind of tilt the hoverboard in this direction. And based on how the hoverboard is dictated to work, if the weight's over here, then it goes in this direction. And if, oh god, I'm like forcing it. And if these go back, both of them are back, then the whole mechanism will tilt this way and it will roll backwards. And every instance in between. This whole mechanism down here is, again, very wobbly and needs to be kind of improved upon. When I touched base with Noodle's Shape Daddy, he gave me some suggestions on how I could improve this to make it less, like, wiggly, wobbly, and have significantly less play. Some of that involves how solidly this crossbar right here is mounted, and how much play the this tendon right here has on the rod. I'm gonna have to kind of capture it in place so it can only really like move or twist back and forth here, transferring the motion to the top. And the proportions of the lever length down here to the top, like between the pivot point and the end where the tendon is attached, they relate to one another, and I need to kind of pay attention to that if I change the length between the pivot point and the attachment point, between here and down here at the bottom. I might play around with that to see if I can get better, stronger motion, movement, whatever. For the time being, it seems like it kind of more or less works. It just needs to be tightened up a bit. Once I do that, I think that this should function all right. And then this assembly right here, you see these brackets right here that they look like this on either side. Those clamp down on the crossbars of this guy right here. So this set goes like right on the top and then screws down onto it. And Carl's kind of pokes up all proud-like. So that's one separate mechanism. So this is like the pendulum mechanism. This is the twisting mechanism right here. And lastly, I said there's a third. There's another, it's not really a mechanism, although it might end up having to be given on, depending on whether or not I can get the motor to do what I want it to do. But there needs to be a cam or something that presses down on the foot pedals so that the motors turn on. There's a pressure-sensitive switch on each of the foot pads that can tell whether or not a person is standing on the foot pads. And the motors only turn on if somebody is standing on the hoverboard. Since Carl isn't a person and can't stand on the foot pads, I have to artificially press them down with something like a cam, so like a motor that's mounted right above the foot pad with a cam on the drive shaft, so that when the motor rotates, there's like a lump on the cam that kind of like presses down on the foot pad and forces the button to engage and turn the motor on. So it's basically an on and off switch. The problem is that there's quite a bit of resistance to the switch on the foot pad, and it's very straining on the motor, so I need to either figure out a way to bypass the switch altogether, like electronically, or I need to come up with a really torquey, beefy mechanism that can sit on top of the foot pad and rotate with ease to press it down. One or the other. Not there yet. After one of these two is checked off my list now. After I smooth this thing out, then I'll take a little bit of a break and meditate on that button foot switch, which is crazy enough, probably the hardest of the three to work out at the moment. It has the least moving parts. So that's where I'm at. The other thing that I might work on later next week, after I get through this weekend and prototyping all these parts, is a mini Carl. I had mentioned earlier in the stream that I got a kit from Pololu Robotics that's it's a mini balancing robot that has two wheels. It's effectively the same thing as this big hoverboard robot, but tiny and kind of self-contained. I'm going to play around with that and see if I can wrap my head around how it works, so that I can either build one of my own that's similar, or just use that kit to make a mini version of Balancing Carl. One of the cool things I found last spring at Target in the dollar section, you guys know what the dollar section in Target is, right? In the front of the store, there's like that dollar area with like seasonal stuff that no one needs, but you look anyway because there's treasures there. Very important treasures. Where did I put them? Oh man. there they are. Found them. So I found for like $1 a piece a ton of these miniature lawn flamingos. Yeah, they're like tiny. They came with legs and everything, basically just like stabby pokey rods, which I'm not so much interested in, but the base body of the miniature flamingo, which I bought like a zillion of for like, yeah, $1. These are all $1. I can use to make a mini flock of lawn roving robots that can follow Big Carl around, so he'll have like his own little like flamingo herd that are kind of doing their thing. They're probably not going to have fancy sensing mechanisms inside each one of them. Like Big Carl, we were talking about maybe like experimenting with a LiDAR sensor to get him to dictate where he goes and why. These are probably just going to bobble around and go wherever. They won't be very intelligent, but they will kind of like do their doot and scoot and hang out around the vicinity of Carl. And Carl will be like the mini flamingo herder. So I did I get these last year? Yeah, I did. It was last year. So I had like the intention of doing this last summer, and then like life happened as it does. So in the case that I'm not insanely busy doing the unforeseen, this is sort of the goal for my summer, is to get all these lawn ornament baby flamingos doing their thing. And I have like an entire box of these things. So hopefully all of them will get souls and names, and they can exist in the wild back there with Big Carl in the near future. But that's next. And one of these, hopefully if I can get at least one of them working, I'm going to bring it to CypherCon with me next month. Because I can't fit Big Carl in my luggage. Even if I could, I don't think they like people traveling with hoverboards. Airlines don't like that, right? I think I remember reading that somewhere. I'm gonna put this away real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna dip into the chat just for a second. Not so much more minutes. You could just also put weight in there for samples. I could just hack out the switches and wire in voltage to the controls behind the switch. I think the thing one of the parameters for building the hoverboard parasite was that I not have to modify the hoverboard, like by drilling into the case or bolting anything to it. My challenge to myself was to build a mechanism that you could just strap onto the hoverboard, or any hoverboard for that matter, and it would just be able to pilot it. I think my end goal for this particular project is to write a blog post that outlines how to do it. So you can print out a base kit of a hoverboard parasite, and then you can just sort of strap it onto your hoverboard, whatever model or make or brand that it is, and the parasite will be able to pilot it. So that's kind of part of the challenge. So I didn't want to have to hack directly into the foot pad switch. Not if I don't have to. I can always add that to the instructions on my blog post. I'm sure people who are willing to, 3D print and assemble a hoverboard parasite probably wouldn't mind tapping into the switch. But I don't know, I think I would feel better and give myself more hacker points if I can just have it be completely separate, fully functional entity, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. So this is one of the 3 necessary mechanisms to make Carl, the balancing robot, do the balancing. Once I get the first 2 of these separate mechanisms tightened up and working independently, I will probably attach them to one another and see how they work in relation to each other. Possibly attached to the hoverboard. This I can do because I don't want it to be running yet, so like having that switch mechanism working or not isn't really important. I don't want it to be turned on while I'm testing that anyway. So I think after I get the balancing portion worked out, like in the next day or so here, it's really just to take the first two and combine them together and see how they work in relation to one another. And after that, then work on the switch. I might have a audience with Shape Daddy here in the next, I don't know, maybe this weekend, and see what his thoughts are on making a torquey cam, I guess. Mark, do you know how to make a torquey cam?
Torquey cam?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know how to make a torquey cam.
Twerked my cam once.
You have to make a lot of gears. You can make a gearbox.
20 boxes, 20
Like the
bucks.
toe box. No. No. Okay. So that's what's next. And then maybe sometime this weekend I'm gonna talk about my cyber cow. And I'm gonna talk about the cyber cow. The cyber cow.
There's your new mascot.
Cyber cow. I can bring cyber cow to CypherCon and let it meet actual cows. It's gonna take me more than a month to build that. But since Mark doesn't want me to have a real cow, I am gonna make a robot cow that has all the qualities that I like about real cows. And none of the ones I don't.
Cow 9.
Cow moo. It's gonna moo, and it's gonna chew.
You can call it Cow 9.
It's gonna moo, it's gonna chew, but it isn't gonna poo.
It's not gonna poo.
No poo. Cow poo is big and bad.
It's gonna chew.
Alright, and so yeah, it's gonna involve a vacuum. That's all I'm gonna say. A hand vac. That's going to be the appliance that I hack. I'm gonna hack a hand vac in order to make a cyber cow.
That's just terrifying.
Yes, and I will talk about that more in the next couple of days. And I'll probably do a stream where I draw it. Like, I'm not gonna start making it, but I will do the concept sketch and invite you all to go with that journey. Go with me on that journey while I do so. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Friday, like, wherever you are in the world, whether that's in the continental USA or abroad. Enjoy the rest of the day or the tomorrow day if you're in Australia, because you guys are in the future. I know that now. It's the future there. Mark, I love you.
Have you? Did you get it going? Yeah.
I haven't ended it yet. I'm about to end it. I'm ending it.
End it.
I'm ending it. I'm gonna do it. Oh. Raptor says goodbye. Goodbye.